You ever find yourself surrounded by your own family, but somehow you're still alone? Not just alone, invisible. That's me. I'm Alex. Some people call me the odd one out, the step kid, the one who doesn't quite match the photos on the wall. Tonight was my mother's annual family celebration. All the faces, all the laughter, so perfectly rehearsed, like a play where I keep missing my cue. At the dinner table, someone made a joke at my expense. The room burst into laughter, and I just smiled, pretending it didn't sting. That's how it usually goes. I'm always just Alex, the one who fixes the Wi-Fi or takes the group photo, but never in it. Sometimes I wonder, maybe you do too, what it takes to actually be seen by the people who are supposed to know you best. Have you ever felt that way, like a stranger in your own home? If you have, I'd really like to hear your story. Leave a comment, or just listen, and know you're not alone. Funny, isn't it, how you can spend your whole life looking for a seat at a table that was never really meant for you? Sometimes I think back, way back to when I was a kid, before I even knew what it meant to be different. My world was a strange mix of two cultures. My mother's Vietnamese lullabies at night, my stepfather's American baseball games blaring on lazy Sundays. The food, the smells, even the silences in our house. They didn't always fit together. Maybe I didn't either. Growing up, my mother would always introduce me as her eldest, with a kind of careful pride, never quite enough to fill the gap between us. She saved the real sparkle in her voice for Ethan. Ethan, her second husband's son. Blonde hair, easy smile, the kind of kid who won every spelling bee and played 3 sports just because he could. I remember her on the phone laughing, "Yes, that's my Ethan. He's got such a good heart." She'd say it right in front of me sometimes. I'd be there stacking plates or pretending to do homework, and she'd never mention my name at all. You learn to read between the lines. You hear it in the little things, like when she would gently correct anyone who mixed us up. Alex? Oh, he's the quiet one. He's different. That word, different, hung over me like a shadow, something I couldn't wash off no matter how hard I tried. And Ethan was golden. Even now I can picture him walking into a room, my mother's eyes lighting up, the conversation naturally folding around him. I don't think I ever envied him, maybe just the ease with which he belonged. Me? I was the one asked to take the picture, never stand in it. The one who fetched more chairs from the garage, but never found a spot that was truly mine. There's this sound I remember from every family gathering, the scrape of a chair being pulled out, one too many, always left empty. It's a silly thing to notice, but it stuck with me. That chair was always mine, and yet never mine at all. Sometimes I'd sit there after everyone left, just listening to the echo in the kitchen, wondering if anyone even noticed I'd been there. I guess that's why I started trying so hard at everything, school, work, anything that might make someone look up and see me. But every A on my report card was met with a distracted, "That's good, Alex." Every school play, she'd take a photo of Ethan in the front row. I learned early that some people's pride has boundaries, and mine? It always seemed to end just before it got to me. Even now, I sometimes catch myself glancing at empty chairs in crowded rooms, feeling that ache, that hope for a sign that maybe this time someone will pull me into the circle. Maybe this time I'll finally belong. But that's not how these stories usually go, is it? You know, sometimes I wonder if people really understand what it's like to feel invisible, not just at home, but everywhere you go. For me, it was a series of small, sharp moments that added up over the years. The kind you don't even realise are cutting you until much later, when you finally see the scars. It wasn't just family dinners. It was every holiday, every photo taken. Birthdays came and went. My name was on the cake, but the attention never was. At reunions, I'd stand by the window, watching everyone gather for group pictures. "Alex, take it for us," they'd say, handing me their phones like I was the help. The camera would flash, everyone would smile, and then, just for a second, I'd wonder what it might feel like to be in the middle, arms wrapped around someone who looked back at me the same way. Ethan, on the other hand, didn't even have to try. Somewhere along the way, he got big on social media. Instagram, TikTok, you name it. He was there, racking up likes for every random act of kindness he filmed. The videos were slick. Ethan helping an old lady cross the street. Ethan giving away shoes to a classmate. Sometimes I'd catch a glimpse of myself in the background, blurred, holding his backpack, always on the edge of the frame. There was this one video that went viral, a meme really. Ethan made a joke about how I was the family's IT guy. Suddenly my face was everywhere, paired with hashtags like just fixes Wi-Fi and not the hero. Strangers messaged me for tech support as if my whole identity had been boiled down to a punchline in Ethan's perfect filtered world. It's strange hearing your own name buzz across your phone, but always as the joke. It hurt more than I let on. I tried to ignore it. I poured myself into work, built my own startup from the ground up. Long nights, empty coffee cups, a cluttered desk. My life became a string of small victories no one ever saw. When I landed my first big investor, I told my mother. She smiled and said, "That's nice, Alex, but did you hear Ethan got a sponsor? He's really making a difference." Every win of mine was measured against Ethan's likes, Ethan's views, Ethan's story. And when the family did talk about me, it was as if I was a visitor, someone who just showed up for special occasions. "Alex is coming this weekend," my mother would say, as if I needed an invitation to my own home. I'd walk in and find my achievements pinned to the side of the fridge, never the centre, always a side note. The sound that fills my memories isn't laughter, it's the constant buzz of my phone, notifications popping up every time Ethan or my family tagged me in something. Sometimes I'd let it vibrate over and over before finally picking up. It was never about me, not really. Just a reminder that I existed in their world only when it was convenient or funny or made them look good. Maybe you know what that's like, the way silence can fill a house, even when it's packed with people. The way you can shout your own success, but if no one's listening, does it even count? There were nights I lay awake, scrolling through old messages, replaying moments when I almost believed I mattered. And still, every time the phone buzzed, hope would spark. Maybe this time it would be different, but it never was. Family gatherings always seem louder when you're not really part of them. That night it was the annual legacy dinner. My mother's phrase, not mine. The kind of event that required months of planning, colour-coordinated outfits, and, this year, a professional live stream. "It's for the charity," she said. "Ethan's project deserves an audience." I'd arrived on time, which meant early, as usual. The house buzzed with that artificial festive energy, people making small talk, champagne flutes clinking, my mother reminding everyone where to stand so the cameras would catch the best angles. Someone handed me a tablet to monitor the chat, like I was staff, not family. As the main room filled up, I hovered at the edges, listening to Ethan regale a group with stories about his latest viral campaign. He spoke like he was born for the stage, confident, charming, never once glancing my way. His friends laughed at every punchline. My mother beamed, soaking in the reflected glow. I poured myself a drink and tried to look useful, drifting in and out of frame as the camera panned the crowd. There's a certain humiliation in being invisible, especially when it's public. I heard my name once faintly from across the room. "Alex? Oh, he's just here to help with the tech." The room moved on. My phone buzzed with notifications as the live stream went live. In the comments, strangers cheered Ethan on. Such a great guy, so inspiring. I saw my own face once caught in the background of a group shot. Someone in chat wrote, "Who's that? The help?" A couple of laughing emojis. I smiled, or at least I think I did. That's what you do. The speeches started. My mother went first, full of pride, her voice trembling only when she mentioned Ethan. He's not just my son, he's a symbol of what's possible when you lead with your heart. There was a pause. She looked at me just once, as if to remember I existed, then back at the crowd. When it was Ethan's turn, he took the mic, thanking the family, the sponsors, and even my stepbrother Alex, who keeps the Wi-Fi running. Everyone laughed. I felt the floor fall out from under me for a moment. Just a joke, Alex, just a joke. Then, something shifted. The next speech belonged to a special guest, Mr. Ramirez, a major tech investor in from the city. He wasn't supposed to say much, but as he looked out over the crowd, his gaze settled on me. "I recognize someone here," he said, voice steady, the room growing quiet. "Alex Nguyen, right? You're the founder of Skybound. That app, what you built for digital community networks, it changed the way we do disaster response." For a second, nobody moved. I heard my own name ring out, clearly for once. The comments on the live stream paused. Ethan's smile faltered. My mother's hand tightened around her glass. I managed a nod. "Thank you, sir," I said quietly. Mr. Ramirez continued, "I didn't know you two were related. Small world, isn't it?" The silence was thick, then the cameras cut away. Back to Ethan, who forced a laugh and moved on. But I could feel the air change. There was a ripple in the crowd, like people suddenly wondered what else they'd missed. I moved out to the hallway, my heart pounding. My phone buzzed again, this time not with tags or memes, but a private message on Discord. The sender was anonymous. "Ethan's secret isn't safe anymore. Be careful, he's stolen from you before." I stared at the screen, fingers numb. My mind flashed back. Suddenly memories crowded in, all the small betrayals I'd tucked away. I remembered the first year of my startup when I showed Ethan an early prototype for Skybound. He'd been curious, maybe too curious. A month later, one of his charity apps went live. It looked eerily similar. "Just inspiration, man," he'd laughed. "Everyone borrows ideas." I'd let it go. He's family. Let it slide. Another time I shared a pitch deck, confidential, meant for investors only. Weeks later, Ethan announced a new initiative using my exact tagline. My mother said, "Well, you should be proud. He learned from the best." But she never meant me. I swallowed hard, feeling a heat rise in my chest. The sounds from the dining room faded, laughter replaced by the sharp click of my laptop keys as I opened old files, searching for proof I'd tried to forget. My hands shook as I scrolled through messages, documents, timestamps. Each click brought back another memory, another time I'd let myself be written out of my own story. And now someone else knew. Someone watching from the outside had seen it too. That thought did something to me. It was as if I'd been waiting for permission to finally stand up for myself, and now it had arrived, disguised as a Discord ping and a stranger's message. I stepped outside onto the porch, breathing in the night air. Suddenly all eyes were on me, for the first time, not just as the tech support, not as the punchline, but as someone who mattered. Inside, the party carried on, but I was no longer invisible. I opened Discord again, replying to the anonymous message. "What do you know?" I typed, thumb hovering over send. The answer came quick, screenshots, links, proof that Ethan had used my code, my words, my work. My hands trembled, but not from fear anymore. Something else was growing inside me, a kind of clarity, maybe even anger. "He's stolen from you before." the words echoed in my mind. I looked through the glass at my mother, still laughing with guests, at Ethan holding court by the dessert table. I realised with a strange calm that it was finally my turn to decide how this story would end. The rest of that party passed in a blur. People drifted from room to room, refilling drinks, posting photos, chasing the right angle for someone else's approval. I watched from the shadow of the doorway, holding my phone, my mind replaying every time I'd handed Ethan my ideas, every time I'd heard, "You should be proud. He learned from the best." The words stung more now, their shape sharpened by evidence that sat heavy in my inbox. I didn't say goodbye that night. I slipped out, unnoticed, the same way I'd arrived. The drive home was silent, just the hum of tyres on pavement and the distant ping of new messages. Every vibration sent a tremor up my arm. Screenshots, chat logs, timestamps, code snippets. Proof. The anonymous sender didn't say much, just kept forwarding receipts, piece by piece, as if they'd been saving them for the moment I was ready to look. At home, I sat at my desk, the glow of my laptop spilling over stacks of old notebooks and tech magazines. My reflection in the screen looked tired, but there was something fierce in my eyes. Maybe it was anger, maybe relief, maybe both. I opened a blank document and started to write, but the words wouldn't come, not like this. Not another email, not another quiet confession to someone who wouldn't answer. That's when I opened my podcast app. Maybe it's time to stop writing and start speaking. Maybe it's time for people to actually hear me. I set up the mic. The small pop of it turning on made me jump. For a second I just sat there listening to my own breath. The house was still. I closed my eyes and let the silence settle over me. Then I started. My name is Alex Nguyen. For years I tried to be part of a family that only saw me when it was convenient. I let my ideas be borrowed, my victories repackaged as someone else's, because I thought that was what love looked like. Tonight, I'm done being silent. Here's what really happened. I told it all. From the first code I ever shared with Ethan to the latest campaign that mirrored my prototype almost line for line. I read the dates, the emails, the text messages, the proof I'd tried to hide even from myself. My voice shook at first, but the longer I spoke, the steadier I became. For the first time, I didn't worry about sounding angry or too much. I didn't edit out the parts where my voice cracked. I paused sometimes just to breathe, to let the weight of it all settle. Sometimes I imagined I was talking directly to you, the only person who might actually care enough to listen. I confessed that for years I'd tried to laugh it off, to believe it was just family, just teasing. But the truth was, I let myself disappear. As I finished, I felt something shift inside me. Not victory, not yet, just the release that comes from saying something out loud after years of swallowing it whole. I posted the episode with shaking hands, giving it a title that felt right, finding my voice in a room full of noise. I hit upload and sat there staring at the blinking cursor, not really expecting anything. I slept fitfully that night. When I woke up, my phone was buzzing like a hive. Messages, notifications, missed calls. My podcast, usually an afterthought with maybe 24 listens, was blowing up. People were sharing it, tagging friends, leaving comments like, "I needed this," and "This is my story too." There was a hashtag trending, "Chuck's Justice for Alex." My name everywhere, but this time not as a joke. It felt unreal. People from my old school, colleagues I hadn't heard from in years, strangers who recognized the pain in my voice. They all reached out. Some were angry on my behalf. Some just wanted to thank me for saying what they couldn't. Then the calls from my family started. First, my mother. Her voice was thin, brittle. "Alex, what are you doing? You're making things so public." I could hear the tremor in her words, the fear of losing face, of having secrets air out where everyone could see. She tried to defend Ethan. He's always looked up to you, you know. He got carried away. You could have come to us. But I didn't flinch this time. You had years to ask me what I felt, I said quietly. You had years to see me. Silence. Then a sigh, one I'd heard 1,000 times. I was just trying to keep the family together. Sometimes you have to protect the ones you love. Protecting isn't the same as pretending, I answered. I'm not doing this to hurt you, Mom. I'm doing this because I can't disappear anymore. Ethan messaged too, first angry, then pleading. He told me I was ruining everything, that he'd only meant to borrow my ideas. You've always been smarter, Alex. I just wanted to matter too. I sat with that for a long time. Maybe there's a part of me that understands. Wanting to belong so badly, you'll do anything, even hurt the person right next to you. But it doesn't make it right. I didn't reply. My voice kept echoing in my head. For years I tried to be one of them. But tonight, I found my own voice. The days that followed were a blur. More messages, more shares. Friends, strangers, even a few reporters wanted interviews. But the ones that meant the most came from people who, like me, had sat at the edge of their own families, just hoping to be seen. They told me their stories. Some cried. Some just said thank you. I didn't get the apology I'd always imagined. My mother sent a short message, just a single sentence. I hope you can forgive us. Maybe one day I will, maybe I won't. But for the first time in my life, I felt free. If being odd means telling the truth, I'm glad I am. And maybe, just maybe, the next time I see an empty chair, I'll remember that sometimes you have to make your own seat, even if you have to build the table yourself. Some people say that after a storm, there's calm. For me, it wasn't calm so much as clarity. Everything was quieter, but nothing was quite the same. In the days after the podcast, Ethan's world unraveled fast. His sponsors backed out, one after another, their official statements filling my feed, each line carefully phrased, but all meaning the same thing. We don't support frauds. His followers turned, first with questions, then with anger. The hashtags that once lifted him up now buried him, one accusation after another. Justice for Alex. Truth matters. Not the hero. Even the memes changed, his perfect smile now twisted, remixed into punchlines I recognized from my own years in the shadows. I thought I'd feel vindicated, but mostly I just felt tired. Not empty exactly, but lighter. As if something I'd been carrying for years had finally fallen away. My mother called again. This time her voice was softer, stripped of defense. I'm sorry, Alex, she said, the words shaky. For what I ignored, for what I allowed. I listened, letting her apologies settle like dust in an old room. I wanted to tell her I forgave her, but forgiveness isn't always something you can give in one conversation. Sometimes it's slow, like spring thawing the last bits of winter. Instead, I said, I hope you see me now, Mom. That's enough for me. She cried, just a little, and for the first time it wasn't out of disappointment or fear, but relief. I took some of the podcast donations, the unexpected outpouring from strangers, listeners, people who called themselves odd ones, and started something new. The Outcast Initiative, a fund, a safe space, a resource for kids like me, who know what it's like to sit in the margins and wish someone would slide over just an inch to make room. I didn't want another Alex to wait decades to be seen. Now I spend more mornings than not in a little cafe on the corner. It's nothing fancy. Old wood floors, mismatched chairs, sunlight pooling across scratched-up tables. I come here alone, sometimes with my laptop, sometimes just to watch the world go by. The barista knows my name now. She gives me an extra shot in my coffee and always, always remembers to smile. Sometimes, as I settle in, I play back old messages, the ones from strangers who found my voice and maybe found a little of their own. Their words echo in my headphones. You helped me speak up. You made me feel seen. And from time to time, there's a new one. Someone saying thank you or just, hey, me too. I made my own table, my own rules, and it was enough. There's a kind of peace in that, not the kind that comes from being surrounded, but from finally letting go of the need to be surrounded at all. I still see Ethan's name online, sometimes in a headline, sometimes in a new apology video. My mother sends texts now and then, asking about my work, my day. I answer when I feel like it, no more, no less. And as I sip my coffee, somewhere in the background, a child's laughter cuts through the morning noise. For the first time in a long time, it makes me smile. Not because I need anyone's permission, but because I finally know how. So, maybe you're listening to this, and some part of you recognizes yourself in my story. Maybe you've spent years trying to squeeze yourself into a space that never quite fit, waiting for someone, anyone, to finally see you for who you are. If you have, I want you to know you're not alone. There's a whole community of us out here, each with our own stories, our own empty chairs, our own silent victories. And sometimes all it takes is one voice, yours, to start rewriting everything. If anything I've said tonight made you pause, made you remember, made you hope, I hope you'll share your story too. Leave a comment, send a voice note, or use the hashtag #MyOddStory. Tell the truth only you can tell. Someone out there is waiting to hear it, even if you don't know their name yet. Next week, I'll be sharing another story, one about a daughter, a family secret, and the moment the truth refuses to stay buried. You won't want to miss it. And if you ever felt unseen, this space is yours too. Take care, and thanks for listening.